So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, starting with chapter 5, Lord Krishna. Next number 1. Shri Shukavacha Indra
वॉल्यूम नहीं आ रहा है।
Sadatmana and just use अभी ठीक है?
जी प्रभु जी। ओके
अभी ठीक है?
यस यस
हाँ जी ठीक है प्रभु जी।
Next one. Shri Shukavacha Indra Sadatmana Pujam Vigyaya Vihatam Drupam Gopebhya Krishna Nathebhyo Nandadibhyo Chukopaha. Shukdev Goswami said, My dear King Parikshit, when Indra understood that his sacrifice had been put aside, he became furious with Nanda Maharaj and the other cowherd men who were accepting Krishna as their Lord. At the very beginning of this chapter, Shukdev Goswami reveals the foolishness of Indra and the absurdity of his anger. Indra was frustrated because the residents of Vrindavan accepted Shri Krishna as their Lord. But the simple fact is that Shri Krishna is the Lord, not only of the residents of Vrindavan, but of all that exists, including Indra himself. Thus, Indra's petulant reaction was ridiculous. As a common saying goes, pride goes before a fall. So, Krishna, by this pastime, obviously he wanted to teach Indra a lesson and he wanted to perform many other things in the same pastime. We'll study slowly. That's his beauty. Ganam samvartakam nama meghanam chantakarina Indra prachodayat kruddho vakyam chaheshamanyata. Angry Indra sent forth the clouds of universal destruction known as Samvartak. Imagining himself the supreme controller, he spoke as follows. See, he was thinking, I am the supreme controller, but he has to understand he's nothing in front of Krishna. The word Ishamani here is very significant. Indra arrogantly considered himself to be the Lord, and thus he exhibited the typical attitude of conditioned soul. Many thinkers in the 20th century have noted the exaggerated sense of individual prestige characteristic of our culture. Indeed, writers have even coined the phrase the me generation. Everyone in this world is more or less guilty of the syndrome called Ishmana, or proudly considering oneself the Lord. And this actually it's with everybody. We get little something, some property, some knowledge, some possessions, beauty, or some followers, and we start thinking, I'm the greatest person ever. I'm Lord. Basically, it comes down to that. So Krishna, through Indra here, he wanted to show to the world, you're nothing. And what can we be proud of? What do we have? Nothing. What can a 10,000 part of the tip of the hair can be proud of? Nothing. So we become proud. And we start behaving like, oh, the whole world rests on me, and without me nothing can move. And if I say something, it has to be done. Why? And then the exploitation starts, killings start. So many things. Prabhupada used to say, um, British Empire was such a powerful empire. Where is British Empire now? Where is Mughal Empire? Where is all these previous, so many rulers have come and they try to rule over. Where is Hitler and where is Napoleon? Where are they now? The earth is still there, the nature, the whole universe, world is still there. Where are they now? But that's a problem. When we have power, we start thinking, I am the most important person. And that's where we make the mistake. Krishna is going to just crush his pride big time. Aho Srimad Mahatmyam Gopanam Kananokasam Krishnam Martyam Upashritya Ye Chakrur Deva Helanam. Indra said, just see how these cowherd men living in the forest have become so greatly intoxicated by their prosperity. They have surrendered to an ordinary human being, Krishna, and thus they have offended the gods. Of course, Indra was really saying that the cowherd men had offended him. Indra by taking shelter of Krishna, whom Indra considered to be Martya, a mortal. This was certainly a gross miscalculation on Indra's part. And Indra is saying these cowherd men have become intoxicated by their prosperity. He didn't understand he is becoming intoxicated by his prosperity. Yatha dhrida karmamaya kritubhir nam no nibhay vidyam anvikshim hitva titirkshanti bhavarnamam. Their taking shelter of Krishna is just like the foolish attempt of men who abandon transcendental knowledge of the self and instead try to cross over the great ocean of material existence in the false boats of fruitive ritual sacrifices. So he's saying they're just in the foolish attempts, they don't know what they're doing. Vachalam balisham stabdam agyam panditamaninam Krishnam martyam upashritya gopa me chakrura priyam. These cowherd men have acted inimically towards me by taking shelter of this ordinary human being, Krishna, who thinks himself very wise, but who is simply a foolish, arrogant, over-talkative child. Wow. So many titles for Krishna. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, through the insults of Indra, Goddess Saraswati is actually praising Krishna. The Acharyas explain, Vachala means one who can speak according to Vedic authority. Of course, from Indra point of view, he's just an over-talkative child. But Vachalam, from what Acharyas explain, one who can speak according to Vedic authority, means who doesn't speak outside of Vedic authority. Balisha means free from pretension, just like a child. And stabdham means that he bows down to no one because there is no one for him to offer homage to. And agya means that there is nothing more for him to know because he is omniscient. He's not foolish, he is omniscient, he knows everything. Panditamanina means that he is highly honored by the knowers of the absolute truth. Here, Indra was saying he thinks he's a Pandit, he knows everything, but he's not. But Pandit Maninam also means he is highly honored by the knowers of the absolute truth. And Krishna means he is the supreme absolute truth, whose transcendental form is full of eternity and ecstasy. And Martyam means that although he is the absolute truth, he nevertheless appears in this world as a human being out of affection for his devotees. So Martyam, Indra was thinking, I'm calling him a mortal, but no, Martyam means he has appeared in this material world. Although he is transcendental, he has come here in the Martya Loka out of affection for his devotees. Indra wanted to rebuke Krishna as Vachala because the Lord had presented many audacious arguments in the line of Karma Mimamsa and Sankhya philosophy. Even though he did not accept these arguments, means even though Krishna himself did not accept these arguments. Thus Indra called the Lord Agya foolish. Indra called him Stabda because he had spoken boldly even in the presence of his own father. Thus, although Indra attempted to criticize Sri Krishna, the Lord's transcendental character is in fact impeccable, and this chapter will demonstrate how how Indra came to recognize the position of the Lord. So he further says, he's really angry. Why these Brajavasis, they stopped the sacrifice for me. Esham Shriya Valiptanam Krishnenadna Apitatmanam Dhunut Shrimadastambham Pashunyayat Sanchayam. To the clouds of destruction, King Indra said, the prosperity of these people has made them mad with pride, and their arrogance is backed up by Krishna. Now go and remove their pride and bring their animals to destruction. It's clear from this verse that the residents of Vrindavan had become highly prosperous simply by protecting cows. Since Indra wanted to destroy this so-called pride based on wealth by killing their animals. Well-tended cows produce large quantities of milk from which come cheese, butter, yogurt, ghee, and so on. These foods are delicious by themselves and also enhance other foods such as fruits, vegetables, and grains. Bread and vegetables are delicious with butter, and fruit is especially appetizing when mixed with cream or yogurt. Well, nice things to hear on Dwadashi for you all, but mine is still Ekadashi. Dairy products are always desirable in civilized society, and the surplus can be traded for many valuable commodities. Thus, simply by a Vedic dairy enterprise, the residents of Vrindavan were wealthy, healthy, and happy, even in the material sense. And most of all, they were eternal associates of the Supreme Lord Krishna. And not only by cows or by the animals, the Brajvasis were getting all these dairy products by their cow dung and cow urine that was used in the cultivation of crops, and animals themselves were used in tilling the land. So everything was based on cows and bulls. So this is why Indra said, just go destroy their animals, and then they all will be destroyed. Aham chairavatam nagam maruyanu braje brajam marudganar mahavega nanda goshtha jigansya. I will follow you to Braja, riding on my elephant Aravat, and taking with me the swift and powerful wind guards to decimate the cowherd village of Nanda Maharaj. The Samvarta clouds were frightened by Indra's powerful mood and thus carried out his order as described in the following verse. So Samvarta clouds were going to bring down rain, and then the wind guards was there to bring plenty of wind, and Indra was there with his Vajra to kill and destroy the whole Braj. Shri Shukuvacha Itham Maghavata Gyapta Nega Nirmukta Bandhana Nanda Gokula Masare Pidyam Asuro Jasam. Shukdev Goswami said, on Indra's order, the clouds of universal destruction, released untimely from their bonds, went to the cowherd pastures of Nand Maharaj. There they began to torment the inhabitants by powerfully pouring down torrents of rain upon them. So Samvarta clouds, they come out. It's said they were released untimely from their bonds, means they were always kept in the bonds. They only come out at a time of universal destruction, either partial or complete destruction. But Indra ordered them, come out now and do this job for me. So they had to come out. The Samvarta clouds could cover the entire earth with a single vast ocean. With great strength, these clouds began flooding the simple land of Braja. They're so powerful, so much water is there. Vidyutamana vidyudbhi stanantaha stanyitnubhi tivrair marud ganar nunna vavrishur jal sharkara. Propelled by the fearsome wind gods, the clouds blazed with lightning bolts and roared with thunder as they hurled down hailstones. So first come the hailstones. Srila Siddha Swami explains that the word Marudgana indicates that the 7 great winds, such as Avaha, who presides over the region of Bhuvarlok, and Pravaha, who holds the planets in the places. So they were all flowing terribly. So normally when it rains, winds don't blow, because if the winds blow, then the clouds go away. But here, the winds are blowing and the clouds are raining. Sthuna sthula varshadhara munchat swabhreshva abhikshanasha jaloghe plave mana bhur nadrishyat nanot natonanam natot natam. As the clouds released torrents of rain as thick as massive columns, the earth was submerged in the flood and the high ground could no longer be distinguished from low. So this is how the clouds are releasing the rains. It was as thick as massive columns. Atya sarati vatena pashog jata vepanaha gopa gopiyascha shitarta govindam sharanam yayu. The cows and the other animals shivering from the excessive rain and wind, and the cowherd men and ladies pained by the cold, all approached Lord Govinda for shelter. And obviously it was a cold time because it was day after Diwali, so Kartik time, it's cold and it was raining so heavily that time. So what did everybody do? They just approached Krishna for shelter. That's it. That's the only shelter. And Krishna does protect everybody, saves everybody. Shira Sutansha Kayena Prachadya Sarpidita Vebamana Bhagavata Padamulam Upayayu. Trembling from the distress brought about by the severe rainfall and trying to cover their heads and calves with their own bodies, the cows approached the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna Krishna Mahabhaga Tannatham Gokulam Prabhu Tratum Arhasi Devanaham Kupitat Bhaktavatsalam. The cowherd men and women addressed the Lord. Krishna, Krishna, O most fortunate one, please deliver the cows from the wrath of Indra. O Lord, you are so affectionate to your devotees. Please save us also. At the time of Lord Krishna's birth, Garg Muni had predicted, Anena Sarva Durgani Yuyam Anjas Tarishyatha. By his grace, he will easily cross beyond all difficulties. The residents of Vrindavan were confident that in such a great emergency, Lord Narayan would empower Krishna to protect them. They accepted Krishna as everything, and Krishna reciprocated their love. Of course, they didn't believe Krishna is Lord Narayan himself, or he is God. They were thinking Lord Narayan would empower Krishna to protect. This is the love for Krishna. Shila Varshati Vatena Hanya Manam Achetanam Niriksha Bhagavana Mene Kupitendra Kritam Hari. Seeing the inhabitants of his Gokul rendered practically unconscious by the onslaught of hail and blasting wind, the Supreme Lord Hari understood that this was the work of angry Indra. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that the severe distress Indra apparently inflicted upon the residents of Vrindavan was an arrangement made by Shri Krishna's pastime potency. Why? To enhance the loving dealings between the residents and the Lord. The Acharya gives the analogy that for a hungry person, the pain of hunger increases the happiness he feels when he finally eats excellent food. And thus hunger can be said to enhance the pleasure of eating. So it's not the hunger that enhances or that satisfies. Hunger enhances. It's like a catalyst for eating. It gives a pleasure. If somebody is not hungry, even if you keep chapan bhog in front of him, he will not like it. So similarly, the residents of Vrindavan, although not experiencing ordinary material anxiety, felt a type of distress at the activities of Indra and thus intensified their meditation on Krishna. When the Lord finally acted, the result was wonderful, simply wonderful. Just like this is why he performed his pastime with Kanya also. It just increases their love for Krishna and Krishna's love for his devotees. Apartve ulbanam varsham ativatam shilamayam soyage vihate asmabhir indro nashaya varshati. Shri Krishna said to himself, because we have stopped his sacrifice, Indra has caused this unusually fierce, unseasonable rain, together with terrible winds and hail. Tatra pratividhim samyad atma yogena sadhe lokeshamanina modya dhanishye shrimadam tama. By my mystic power, I'll completely counteract this disturbance caused by Indra. Demigods like Indra are proud of their opulence and out of foolishness they falsely consider themselves the Lord of the universe. I will not destroy such ignorance. Nahi sadbhava yukta nam suranam isha vismaya matto asata manabhanga parashamayo pakalpate. Since the demigods are endowed with the mode of goodness, the false pride of considering oneself the Lord should certainly not affect them. When I break the false prestige of those bereft of goodness, my purpose is to bring them relief. So his purpose is not to humiliate them, to bring them relief and to put them back in the mode of goodness, to establish them properly. The demigods are supposed to be Sadbhava Yukta, endowed with spiritual existence, since they are deputed servants of the Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, that which is duly offered to the Lord becomes spiritualized. The demigods engage in the devotion service of the Lord by managing various departments of cosmic administration. Therefore, as demigods or as servants of the Lord, their existence is pure. When the demigods fail to live up to the high position given them by the Lord and deviate from proper behavior, they're not acting as demigods, but rather as conditioned souls. And that's when Krishna has to rectify them. Also in Bhagavad Gita, it is Urdham Gachanti Sattasto. Those who are in mode of goodness, they go to the higher planets. Those means like us, conditioned living beings. So what to speak of the demigods who are ruling those higher planets? They have to be in mode of goodness, but sometimes they come in the mode of passion and ignorance also. And they are in the material world. What to do? Man or false prestige is certainly an anxiety-ridden burden for the conditioned soul. A falsely proud person is not truly peaceful or satisfied because his understanding of himself is false and inflated. When a servant of the Lord becomes asat or irreligious, the Lord saves him from impiety by breaking the false prestige that has led him to be offensive or sinful. As stated by the Lord himself, Yasyaham anugrahami, I give my blessings to a person by taking away his so-called opulence. So Indra was becoming proud of his opulence as a king of all the demigods, that I'm the most powerful here. Krishna will show him who's the most powerful and how much power Indra has. Of course, the advanced stage of devotion service to the Lord, as described by Rupa Goswami, is Yukta Vairagya, utilizing the opulence of this world to execute the Lord's mission. Obviously, the things of this world can be used wonderfully to spread the glories of God and to create a godly society. and a more advanced devotee will not be seduced by material paraphernalia, but will dutifully and honestly engage it solely for the pleasure of the Lord. In this particular case, Lord Indra forgot that he was a humble servant of Lord, and Lord Krishna therefore arranged to bring this bewildered demigod to his senses. So any time we perform devotional service or we are making progress, Krishna will give lots of opulences, prosperity, people will follow, knowledge, this, that. But we have to be so careful to make sure we use it, everything in the service of the Lord. Otherwise, we have to get our lesson. Indra somehow forgot that he has this position to serve Krishna, not to become like Krishna or to think he has become God himself. And that's where he made the mistake, and Krishna is going to teach him a lesson, a big lesson actually. So anyway, we'll stop here. See anybody with any questions or comments? Okay, so you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.